Hi everyone and welcome to Mansfield. My name's Harry and I'm a second year historian here. I'm going to be taking you on a tour of our college site just now, albeit a virtual one. It's a real shame that you can't be here with us physically this year, because the thing that I think really makes Mansfield special, over and above the great location and the lovely architecture that we have, is the people who make up the college and the energy that they bring. I really wish that you could have met some of the members of our college community in person this year, but I'm hoping that I can do them some justice in this video. The first stop on our tour is the quad, which is the lovely green space that you can see in the centre of the college. Mansfield's a fairly small college, both in terms of the size of the site and in terms of the number of students, but that comes with plenty of bonuses. In terms of the site itself, it makes it really easy to get around and incredibly difficult to get lost. And that's coming from somebody, by the way, with the worst sense of direction in the world. While in terms of the smaller number of students, that means that we can build a really strong sense of community between the year groups here at Mansfield as well as within them. We've just headed into the chapel hall now, which is where college meals are eaten. This was actually a really important space for me to meet new people as a fresher, both from my year group and from across the wider college community. At Mansfield, you can buy meals from the college, but the really great thing is that we also have a lot of flexibility, because there's kitchen facilities on site in some of the on-site accommodation blocks that all students are able to access. This means that you've got the option of doing some cooking for yourself and eating with friends in the kitchens, as well as enjoying meals in the chapel hall. I know that flexibility is something that I really have valued. As well as eating meals in the chapel, we also have weekly chapel services, and music recitals are often held in the chapel hall, which gives students the opportunity to perform in a really incredible space. We're heading out of the chapel now, and we're quickly moving towards one of my favourite spaces in college, which is the crypt. It's quite sad to see it so empty in this video, as it's usually an absolute hive of activity right at the centre of college. The crypt serves as a relaxed workspace and a great alternative to library working if you enjoy being around others. You can always bet on the fact that you will find somebody else in the crypt. It also has a really lovely outdoor seating area, which is particularly handy in the summer months. This is an equally great space for you to relax with friends, to work in a more informal environment, or, as I do all so often, to procrastinate. Between the crypt and the chapel hall, there's a set of stairs which lead up to another space in college, which is called the Old Hall. Now, this is a space that is commonly used for meetings and events that are being held within the college. For example, I was lucky enough to attend the Oxford First Gen Society's Christmas dinner here as a fresher. Some members of the Cambridge First Gen Society came across for the event, and it was a really special night and a great chance to meet people from across both of the universities. The Old Hall leads out onto the tower, which is right at the heart of the main body of the college at Mansfield. I was lucky enough to be taught in the tower room as a fresher, which is just up the stairs on your left, and it's got a gorgeous bay window that looks out across the quad. Perhaps more importantly though, the tower stairs are incredibly close to my favourite feature in college, the automatic door. This door really never gets old. The door looks like it belongs in Hogwarts, it looks like it's really old and should be really heavy and really difficult to open, and then as you step towards it, it just magically swings open by itself. I think it's one of the most enchanting features of Mansfield. So imagine that we've just come back through the automatic door again, and into the main body of college. We're heading in the opposite direction to the crypt and the chapel hall, along the corridor that's leading us to the JCR, the MCR and the library. On the corridor, you'll see a display which is celebrating the history of women at Mansfield College, and this was unveiled just last year. Off to the left, you can see the junior common room and the middle common room, or the JCR and the MCR. These rooms act as breakout spaces for undergrad and postgrad students, being equipped with comfortable sofas and games, making them great places to socialise with friends. Now, as well as being physical spaces, the JCR and the MCR are also committees made up of students who represent the voice of the student body to the college. The JCR committee have a whole host of roles, from Vice President for Welfare to being the entertainment reps, or the ENTs as we call them, to being access officer. There's a whole host of roles to get involved with. In the JCR, the Ents also organise events such as champagne and chocolates, where you dress up in nice clothes and eat as much champagne and chocolates as you can, or college box, which are more informal events, more relaxed, kind of akin to a school disco, but with a theme and really cool fancy dress. Mansfield is a really lively community and there's always something going on. So we've gone up the stairs now and we're into the library space. There's 3 smaller reading rooms which Greg has just taken us to see. And there's also the main library which is just around this corner. Make sure you point your device upwards at this point, as the painted ceiling was recently restored, and although I might be a little bit biased, I think it looks pretty stunning. The library is an absolutely beautiful place to work. It's probably one of my favourite places in college, particularly if you like a silent workspace. And it's well stocked with lots of the key texts that you might find yourself needing for your course. You will also find books in other places across Oxford, but there's an online database called Solo which can help you to find what you need and where it is. Oxford has so many stunning libraries, there's so many to choose from. And one of the great things about being a student here, I think, is that the Bodleian Library is a legal deposit library, which means that either digitally or in print, it has a copy of quite literally every book that has ever been published in the UK. So there is never a book that you can't get your hands on. So we've just come out of the amazing automatic door one more time, and we're heading back across the quad now. The sandstone coloured buildings that you can see in the distance opposite the main college building house the college office and also provide some student accommodation too. On the right hand side you can see the principal's lodgings, which is where our principal Helen Mountfield lives with her family. In the distance just behind the tree you can also see the Hands building, which is sometimes known by students as Love Lane. This building is only a few years old and it provides ensuite accommodation to students mostly in the third year of their degrees, although some lucky first and second years might find themselves living there too. This is one of the buildings on the college site that has kitchen facilities for all students to use. Just coming up on the right hand side now, you will see a statue of Eleanor Roosevelt. Fun fact, this statue was unveiled by Hillary Clinton, who's an honorary fellow of the college, to mark the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It sits in front of the Institute of Human Rights, which has its home within the Hands building at Mansfield. As undergrads at Mansfield, you're not likely to spend much time within the Institute of Human Rights itself, which is the building that we're just heading into now. But the Institute of Human Rights links to the auditorium, which we're about to go into, and this is a space that you will become a lot more familiar with if you do decide to come to Mansfield. College run a series of Friday night lectures called the Mansfield Public Talks, which are held in the auditorium to provide an opportunity for students, staff and members of the wider community to hear from some really interesting speakers. These talks are all completely free and the series is convened by our college principal Helen Mountfield. Previous speakers have included some pretty big names, people like Baroness Hale and Alistair Campbell, to name but a few. The great thing about this space is that when it's not in use by college, students can also hire it. So a group of my friends hired the auditorium the other day and watched Mamma Mia. Make of their movie choice what you will, but it's a really incredible space and resource to have. So we're heading out of the auditorium now. Love Lane is behind us and we're going to see the other 2 main accommodation blocks that house mainly freshers on the college site here at Mansfield. On the right hand side, just in front of us now, you can see the Garden Building or G Block, which has a host of single ensuite rooms for students. As a student at Mansfield, you are guaranteed on-site accommodation for your first and your third year if you want it. College then have a host of accommodation across Oxford that you can live in your second and your fourth year if your degree has 4 years, although some second years do also live on the college site. On the right hand side here is E Block, which is the other building in college that commonly houses freshers. Accommodation is organised by a random room ballot, jointly run by the college and the JCR committee, which means that rooms are distributed fairly. It's perhaps also worth pointing out that terms at Oxford are only 8 weeks long, and so you'll be required to pay for accommodation for these 8-week periods. You're not locked into a year-long contract. There's also the opportunity to apply for VAC-Res to stay in your accommodation over the vacation if you'd like to, so there's plenty of flexibility. So we've just passed through the little passageway which connects E Block back into the main college, and hopefully this gives you a bit of a sense of what I mean when I say that the college site is fairly small, because here we are again, we're back at the quad. Now, in case you're wondering what on earth the statue is in the middle of the quad, I thought I'd just give it a brief mention. It was designed by Sir Anthony Gormley, who is perhaps well known for his work designing the Angel of the North in Gateshead, which isn't actually too far from where I live. This sculpture is called Present Time, and it's been on loan to the college since 2013. So that brings our tour of the college site to an end. I think we've seen everything that there is to see. Now, I really do hope that I've been able to give you a flavour not just of how beautiful the Mansfield College site is, but also of how vibrant and lively the student community that we have here at Mansfield is. The JCR committee really do an amazing job, from delivering free cookies to people in Freshers Week to organising some of the social events that I spoke about earlier on. I know that this college is a space that is really special to an awful lot of people, and it is somewhere that I really do feel as though I'm at home. I think for me, what really made the transition easy to university was coming to a nice small college where I could get to know people quickly and where I really did feel as though I could fit in and belong. And I think that's because of the really friendly nature of everybody at Mansfield. So like I say, it's a really special place to me, and I know that it's somewhere that a lot of students really love and really enjoy spending time. So as we walk past that incredible automatic door for one final time, I just want to end by really stressing that point, that Mansfield is an amazing, warm, friendly space, and it really is the people at Mansfield that make the community the really special place that it is. Thank you so much for taking the time to look around Mansfield with me, and I really hope that after seeing this site, it makes you want to join our college community as well. We'd really love to have you. Take care, and who knows, maybe I'll see you around Oxford sometime. Take care, and thanks again.